Greg, this is a huge win, but is this like celebrating a murder conviction of a loved one where it's a victory, but it shouldn't have happened in the first place?
Well,
and it still doesn't restore them fully.
It was necessary. I mean, this is not about women's sports alone. It's about truth, biology, morality. It was a battle over your own mind. What you think and what people, i.e. a mob, a cowardly mob, could compel you to believe and obey. You have heroes in this story. J.K. Rowling, Riley Gaines. There were a few reporters and journalists who shared the risk and fought this twisted ideology in the face of persecution of unhinged and violent activists and disillusioned strange men. We pushed this story hard because, I mean, for me personally, the mob think and this mass delusion, I wanted to break it open. I wanted to see what would happen if you faced it. So I just want to go through the villains in this. You had the media that blamed all the brave people that stood up as transphobic, when in reality, what is transphobic? Fear of telling the truth to trans. It was the media that was actually transphobic. Then you had teachers who defended lying to parents about their kids. You had cowards on social media who bullied, people like Riley Gaines and behind their virtue signaling pronouns. Then you had the hacks that promoted the false stats on trans suicide. You had ESPN who lauded Thomas as a female icon. You had the Biden White House who promoted trans ideology by appointing trans people in the cabinet. The medical establishment who pushed the false science while butchering kids. Celebrities who promoted their children like it was a tequila brand. And then there are parents who use their kids' identity to build their own identity. Munchausen by proxy. Then you have the men themselves. They're not women, they're hardly men. They're autogynephiliacs. They found a way to game society to indulge their fetish. And their fetish wasn't just to dress up as women, it was to garner public humiliation. It was a humiliation fetish. This is why the Dems lost. They cowered before a fetish that caused irreparable harm. And they gaslit the public who knew better, but were too scared to say anything for fear of being mobbed. Right now, you have a candidate in New York City who wants to take $70 million from taxpayers to pay for more butchery. This is a huge victory, but it's not just about sports.
One of my favorite comments today, Dana, by a loved one was, America is healing. That this is a really important step back to restoring. But, again, Thomas took the place, these male athletes took the place of females. So restoring or stripping away the awards, it still doesn't account for everything that was actually lost.
You have to admit that it's pretty absurd that it takes an act of a president to allow women to win in women's sports. I mean, what a world. And all the things Greg said, I would echo, and I would add this. They not only took away opportunity, but it was scholarship money, possibly. It was award money. It was sponsorship money. Because this started, and it eked out in swimming. I don't know if it started there, but that's when we first started really learning about it. And then every day, we could do a different story about another sport where this was happening to women. And where were the champion women athletes who had already succeeded? I'm sorry, Billie Jean King, she played the battle of the sexes for a reason. She's wildly successful, and she was silent on this. Martina Navratilova, okay, great, thank you. One? We got one woman athlete that would stand up for these girls, and what was amazing to me is how poised Riley Gaines and Paula have been, and they're not the only ones. These women who took a little bit of speech training and media training and found their voice because nobody else was sticking up for them. That is an incredible accomplishment for them. The other thing that the president has been able to do, and I give props to Secretary Linda McMahon as well, who has accomplished so much in her career, but this might be the crowning achievement, in my opinion, because she's saving women's sports. You have a situation where the University of Pennsylvania has a chance to shock itself out of the delusion that it was in following the mob. And when the history books are written about this period, people are going to look back and go, "What? That's insane. They did what?" And hopefully we live long enough to read that history, because I'm hoping that a lot of these things happen pretty quickly now that University of Penn has gone through it.
Right, and included in that, Joey, UPenn nominated Leah Thomas as NCAA Woman of the Year. So now we have holdouts, Maine, California, et cetera. Are they going to hold out forever? Or do you think they're just going to finally cave in when there's such an exodus of female athletes that flock to states that actually protect them?
Yeah, well, first of all, you're the lawyer, so you have better insight on this than I do. But the NCAA was recently sued and lost a settlement called the House Settlement, where players from all over the country can go back to the university and get paid for their name, image, and likeness. Before that, there was a Supreme Court ruling against the NCAA about how name, image, and likeness and players can receive money. The reason why I bring that up is that when you go back to it, even this decision from this college says, but we were in compliance with the NCAA rules of eligibility. Like, it seems to me like that's low-hanging fruit. I mean, from what I understand, there are two aspects to this. One, the Trump administration withheld more than $700 million in grants from the university. So maybe part of their motivation was to get that money quicker. But the other side is they had a lawsuit moving forward that this is a settlement of. So the Trump administration must be pretty confident about their case, what the leverage they have. And I don't see where in a settlement with one university, they can't take that same leverage to the NCAA or any number of other universities. And at the end of the day, I hope every single girl that was forced to share a locker room with a fully intact 6'4" man sues the hell out of every school and every authority that made them do that when they were asking not to.
That's the thing, LJ. I cannot get over exactly that fact. It's the criminal code that covers that. So we prosecuted coaches and teachers for sexual assault. Should the schools be held criminally accountable for forcing minor women, young women, to be naked in front of fully intact naked males? Because that is squarely covered by the criminal code, and I think that's what's next too.
Well, since I'm in Harold's seat and I'm chocolate, it's good to be back around the table. I guess I would say is this should be a simple issue for the left, because this is something they claim to preach: atonement, correcting history, reparations, statues, except for, in many cases, they get the history wrong. They bastardize this. It's too far to track the genealogy to get it right, except for we have all the tape. We have all the records. All the people that are involved in these lawsuits are still living. So I think from a criminal standpoint, yes, there should be some lawsuits there, but give them their medals, change the books, remove the statues, do everything that you guys have been claiming for every other historical event, except for we know the people that were victimized and they're still living. There's still time to atone here. You know who I'm watching? I'm watching Harvard, because they're a part of this as well. One of the competitions was there, and they will not cave on any of the issues here. But this university, they need the money. Harvard doesn't. I think in the court of public opinion, though, they've already lost. We just had a whole election where men stood up, where women should have stood up. Men stood up and said, we're rejecting this.
Yeah, well, hopefully we'll see a lot more, but we'll take note of exactly who was there from the beginning.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.